Hello and welcome to week 10 of the weekly box and week 1 of me recording my run for said weekly box. This time around you can see the team in the top right corner. I think the major Pokemon that are in this box are Bulbasaur, Totodile, Trapinch, and then I'm curious about how Poochyena can work, and then kind of just seeing how the other guys can slot into the team, especially once we get into E4. So do the normal stuff, get the berries, skip the Miracle Seed because I haven't got that in quite a while now. Roll Winona 1, I'm trying to figure out who in my team I want to put in. I end up, I think, deciding not to take Poochyena because it doesn't have Intimidate. I don't want it to die this early. And I'm opening Trapinch first because I can Rock Slide the Swablu. As you'll see, it'll one-shot it, and then it'll bring in Tropius, which guarantees Razor Leaf's going to be used, which means I can put Trumbeak in for free. I can get a bit of value out of plucking the berry off this Tropius, and we'll get a potion and then just two-shot it. After this, now I don't really have that much of a concern with the Wingull when it comes in, especially because Sun just got set up, so really the only move it can really click on me is Aerial Ace. We almost one-shot it, and I end up dodging 2 Supersonic. So Winona 1, pretty easy. Trapinch starting with Rock Slide is actually very strong, and I didn't actually end up using my Rock type for Winona at all, which is kind of funny. But early game Pikipek is just very nice Pokemon to have. Then what I've started liking doing more often is, especially when I have a Guru Pokemon, is just taking Do for Gym 2. This box you don't really have a very good daycare. You don't have a very good daycare Pokemon, so you don't really need to go to Slateport for anything. The only thing that I, in retrospect, maybe should go to Slateport for over doing Gym 2 Dewford is Intimidate on my Poochyena, because I think it rolled Quick Feet. So that's the only kind of thing worth really min-maxing. If I'm worried about like Norman 2, then maybe I should go to Slateport first, but I think I'd be fine. I end up rolling Watson. And for Watson, we have Trapinch with Bulldoze, which is nice. We have Evolved Bulbasaur. We have kind of decent mons for this. It does end up being a bit of a difficult fight, as we'll see soon, just because of the hacks that it gets on me. But my Trapinch is plus speed, which I think means after 1, maybe 2 Bulldozes, it ends up outspeeding this Geodude. Fortunately, Watson burns his heal on this Geodude, so my Trapinch is just able to wipe it. Always love seeing Watson heal that Geodude, because it means he doesn't have it for either the Magnemite, which is going to really hacks you, or for the Manectric, which sometimes with Shockwave can be very difficult. In this gym, it's only Electric, so it's not that bad. Then Joltik's in. I'm considering maybe I can live a Fire Fang here, but I think I'd prefer just being a bit more safe here. So tank the Fire Fang. Unfortunately, this ends up not being the safer play because I get burned turn 1. And without that burn, I think I guarantee 2-shot the Electric and live, and then they go Magnemite, and I can just Bulldoze once and the fight's over. But unfortunately, this fight gets a bit chopped, and I end up needing to go Spoink into this Electric, because I don't want to put in Ivysaur because it has Fire Fang. I don't want to get unlucky. We get paralyzed a few turns in a row, and now in comes Magnemite. Pretty sure it's going to be using a damaging move here over Supersonic. It's correct. And then I'm pretty sure that at this point I'm just going to get hacked. It's going to be kind of chopped. So I go in Ivysaur, I put Leech Seed in. It guarantees that we're going to wipe this guy in 8 turns, bare minimum. And then we're just Screeching because I don't think any Joltik's moves are going to do that much. We'll throw in Ivysaur, which in retrospect, maybe... Well, actually, no, it's fine because he can't... The Joltik can't get paralyzed by Thunder Wave, but it just means I'm in. I'm going to get haxed a little bit here. I hit myself in Confusion, but I think I end up hitting this Razor Leaf, so it ends up being okay. And I do lose a decent amount of time. I think this is like a 9-minute gym 2, which is a bit nasty. 8-9 minute gym 2, which is a bit unfortunate. And then with this box, really the most important thing is, as I mentioned before, that I get the Mighty Anna ability patch so that we can get Intimidate for a potential like Roxanne 3, a potential, not Brawly 3, but potential Norman 3, stuff like that. Intim's just great to have. And as we just saw, getting Trapinch in the Guru to make sure that we have that Vibrava. What I should have done here is to level up the Trapinch to level 22 before evolving it, because then it gets access to both Crunch and Screech. And if you evolve it late, I think you only get access to Screech. So having Crunch would have been nice for my Trapinch and later for my Flygon, but it's fine. We do end up getting Norman 3, which is nice that we have, that we're going to have Intimidate for Mighty Anna, I believe. And then it's just a matter of, okay, how do we beat this Vigoroth? Because this Vigoroth does not really get that countered by Mighty Anna Intim. It does Snarl. I'm not sure if I really consider that or not. And Trumbeak has Rock Smash, but I think Pluck does more damage anyways, even though it's super effective. It's 90 versus 80 damage once you factor in Stab and super effective, respectively. But I think it doesn't actually two-shot the Spinda. But even with that in mind, I do still end up leading Trumbeak here, I think. Just because I want to see if 2-Plex will end up one-shotting it. And I know that if I can pluck Persim and then pluck again, at the very least, the Spinda will be low enough that it's going to bait the heal, which is good. It ends up being that I think 2-Plex won't end up killing it. I'm not sure, this might be a low roll incident, but my attack IVs are decent. I think that's about 21 attack IVs, so I know that Spinda's going to end up healing here, so I go Leech Seed. I know that after I use Leech Seed, it's going to end up encoring me, so I can go ahead and switch out. We go Trumbeak again. We're going to pluck on this turn, and then we'll see what I end up going with. I think I might just switch stall a little bit, because the Spinda's 2 Leech Seed procs away from dying, so I know that that'll be fine. Ends up going Facade, I Leech Seed. Of course, my Rockruff's going to get confused here, and the reason I go Rockruff here is because I'm going to be baiting in Vigoroth, and it's going to use its Grass-type move Trailblaze on me, which then I know I can put Venusaur into and be fine. Alternatively, if Venusaur gets put in here on an Uproar, it means that that Leech Seed miss just completely cooks me. So it's still a bit difficult because Vigoroth Uproar is very, very strong. But at the very least, I'm able to get the Leech Seed in. We're able to bait out Trailblaze with the Rockruff again. We're able to heal off the Citrus Berry. I think we don't proc Trumbeak Berry. Unfortunately, we get crit by the Vigoroth, which just means we're guaranteed one-shot. There's not really much that could be done there, although I could have put in Mighty Anna and got a Snarl off, because I think at this point it has it. Then Rockruff takes a lot of damage. He's going to end up hitting a critical hit Rock Tomb that does barely anything. And at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit stressed because this Linoone can do a fair amount of damage. Fortunately, I've lowered its speed once already. But I end up going Eevee just because I want to get 1 Baby Doll Eyes in. Now it's -1 attack. Still a bit of a risk for a crit, but it means that I can put Vibrava in and I'll be a little bit more okay to take a little bit here. So without that Baby Doll Eyes, my Vibrava is much lower, and after this, I might end up even dying from that Snarl. So that is a more consistent play. We're playing a bit into getting crit by giving 2 extra turns for the Linoone move, but now at this point we're fine. And Mighty Anna is very strong for this gym. I do think in retrospect I should use Mighty Anna as a switch in on the Trailblaze so that I can get into him and Snarl off. Now we're going into Gym 4. It ends up being Tate and Liza, which is a bit unfortunate. I would really like to get this gym after I get either for Alligator or the Waterfall TM or both. And I don't have either of those, so I'm going to be using a Totodile with Water Gun as its stab super effective move for the ground and rock types that Tate and Liza have. And I'm considering leaving whatever the speed drop Crocodile move is. I'm already forgetting. Like something look. But I end up dropping it because I think guaranteed AoE attack drop on Crocodile is just very strong. I end up teaching Vibrava Bug Buzz as well, just because it's very good for this gym. To have a very strong, super effective move, even if it isn't stab. And then I'm considering doing some Howl Tech here with Looking Rock to get the double attack buff on my team. I'm not sure what I actually end up going with. I think I end up leading... what do I end up leading? Vibrava and Looking Rock. Okay. So I'm doing this so that I can get Howl off. My Vibrava can probably one-shot the Vault away. Or actually, no, I have to bite Bug Buzz because Bug Buzz doesn't kill because it's not stab. So we killed this. Everything's great. Whip-de-doo. The only issue here is so I should have one-shot the Natu, because Natu has Ominous Wind stored power. So I kind of have to be a bit concerned about that. I also remember that Lunatone has Icy Wind, and if I leave my Vibrava in, it'll get one-shot. Natu gets the Omni Boost, which is very unfortunate, but fortunately, Lickin' Rock is very strong at this gym, so able to tank the buff stored power, and the Mightyena in Tim actually drops stored power attack enough, I think, that made a difference to help Lickin' Rock live. Now my Lickin' Rock has to be switched out. I don't really know what the best course of action here is, because I really want there to be a attack drop on the Soul Rock, because it's going for Rock Slide, and I can't switch in Mightyena because Mightyena's already in. So I can't switch it in for an Intim. I decide, okay, I think it's going to go for Incinerate here, so I'll get a Confusion off since I can't get Intim, and then I'll just snarl a little bit. And this fight does get a little bit risky. I'm trying to figure out how can I switch in this, get this Mightyena switched in. And I'm able to put in the Crocodile for it. We get a little bit of chip down with Spoink. Unfortunately, our strongest water type move on Crocodile is Water Gun, as we discussed a little bit earlier. So I do end up risking the Spoink death here, which was a bit silly. I didn't really consider the fact that they could just both use their rock moves that I haven't gotten the Intimidate off for, and Spoink ends up dying. We get another Incinerate from the Soul Rock, a Bite from the Crocodile. I'll just say, okay, I'll quick attack the Lunatone because it's 1. And then we can just whittle down this Soul Rock slowly. So the double flinch, also very unlucky. I think my Eevee gets flinched with this Rock Slide as well. But even with kind of how unlucky all the stuff ended up being, I think I still played this gym a little bit poorly. I don't think I needed to risk the Spoink death on Rock Slide, Rock Throw combo. But for some reason, I just didn't consider it. I thought the Lunatone was either going to go for Icy Wind for more speed control or something. But now we're through Gym 4, so we're able to get a bunch of TMs. I go T-Bolt for Joltik, which I end up never teaching because Joltik is a worthless Pokemon in the gyms. I get Giga Drain and Sludge Bomb for Venusaur, because Venusaur is such a great solid mon, and having guaranteed full moveset by going into Gym 5 is so nice on a Venusaur. It feels so good. I end up going for Espeon here because I don't have really a Brawly counter anymore because my Psychic type and my Flying type are both dead. So we get Espeon here, we get the Psychic TM for it, and that pretty much guarantees that, okay, I never really have to worry about that Brawly fight ever again. And now we're just getting everybody their moves. We get Calm Mind, which we just got for beating Tate and Liza 4, which is nice. We get full Ivysaur moveset, and then we're going to go to Gym 5, and it will end up being Roxanne, which, after just getting Giga Drain for my Venusaur, is very nice to see, because I think this is the last or second to last Roxanne before it gets that Cleavor, where it becomes a bit of a problem. And I don't really want to be seeing Viola here because I have a Feraligatr, I have a Venusaur. I can clean sweep this gym with pretty much just those two Pokemon. Graveler has never been a concern if you have a Giga Drainer. Brings out Arcanine. And I'm not sure if it's going to click Fire Fang or Rock Tomb here. It goes Fire Fang, fortunately. And then it is still the world's most depressing Feraligatr. I'm clicking Water Gun at Gym 5. I think the funniest thing to me is clicking Water Gun when your Pokemon has 100 HP. I think that's hilarious. Probopass in, I know it's going to be going. Discharge, because it sees a Water type in. I'm able to get my Vibrava out. It's going to take a few bulldozes to get through this. Unfortunately, we don't get EQ until the next gym. But Bulldoze is fine because we're still going to be lowering Probopass's speed, so any Rock Tomb speed drops that it gets in aren't really going to be affecting me. Probopass down. And now the only Pokemon that Roxanne has left is the Relicanth, and Relicanth is light work for Venusaur. We just go in. We'll click Giga Drain twice, just in the weird case where Venusaur is outsped. And then that's Roxanne down with, honestly, a pretty decent box with just the two starters for Roxanne. And now we can, I think we end up going to Slateport maybe for Shadow Ball here. Although I might wait for that for later, because I need Shadow Ball on Espeon for the Medicham. Otherwise, I think it's a coin flip if a Calm Mind Psychic Espeon actually ends up one-shotting the Medicham. But we don't do that yet. We're just making our way to Fortree. We pick up the Citrus Berries because Citrus Berries are so strong. And we end up getting Juan Wallace 6, which, again, not a bad gym here either. I have Joltik, and I'm thinking, okay, this is where I can finally use my Electric type. I can use my T-Bolt. And I end up leveling everything up, and I'm realizing, you'll see kind of my realization here, that Joltik does not evolve for Gym 6, which effectively makes it unusable. And realistically, I think that's fine, because I still have Espeon. I can still just Giga Drain, Psychic the Dondozo, one-shot it, and the rest of the gym, honestly, is not that difficult. But it is very sad to have my Electric type that I can't use for Juan Wallace 6 because it hasn't evolved yet, which is nasty. But here we'll see Tatsugiri jumps in Dondozo and then promptly jumps out of Dondozo because these two Pokemon just hit so hard into Dondozo. And then I'm considering Kingdra is more of the threat, but I'm worried it's going to be using Bounce here. Because it sees my Grass-type Venusaur, it ends up going Dragon Pulse on the Espeon. There's also a Dark Pulse on the Espeon, which I kind of forgot about, which makes me even more glad that I'm targeting the Tatsugiri here. Now this Wish Cache, obviously, just going to be one-shot by Venusaur Giga Drain. The Bounce ends up missing, I believe, which is very funny. And then really the rest of this fight here, I'm not that concerned about. This Milotic is going to get 2, maybe 3 shot. I think after the special defense drop, it's going to get just nuked by this Venusaur Mega Drain, almost. And then for some reason, Kingdra clicked Bounce on my Espeon, which does paralyze me and make me a bit slower. But that ends up being fine. Kingdra almost gets one shot. They have to use a full heal on the paralysis, and Kingdra ends up falling to Venusaur here. So again, Venusaur in these gym fights, especially this gym on this breakpoint with Venusaur, I got Roxanne 5 after getting Giga Drain Venusaur, and then immediately after I got Juan Wall 6. Just very nice gym phase for that. I do end up getting the Shadow Ball TM here, which is the main thing. I get EQ as well, just because I'm going to want EQ on my Mons. At some point, we end up getting Flannery's. Okay, you think EQ is going to be nice here. I think I end up not even teaching EQ to any of my Mons, because I'm like, okay, I don't want this for Venusaur. My Venusaur's moveset's all the way done. I don't want it for Alligator for some reason, because I want Surf and Waterfall, which I think is a mistake. You see me skip through Sandstorm here just out of habit. I think I should take Sandstorm on the Bravo just to get rid of the sun. But I think it ends up being fine. We get Surf and Waterfall for Alligator, which is very nice. And we're able to go into this Flannery fight. Unfortunately, I do the classic KCH42 thing where I forget to get citrus berries after Gym 6. So I have to give Oran berries to two of my Pokemon that I think I just won't use. Now, I use Surf here because I know Marowak defense is super high. And I think my Feraligator's attack and defense are kind of equivalent. And I think that after seeing how much damage that Waterfall does in Sun, I do think that was the correct call. I go Mighty Yenna here because I know it's going to be Shadow Bone. I don't want my Feraligator to tank Shadow Bone because it does so much damage. And then it's just slowly killing the Marowak. I lived the Overheat with 5 HP after Snarl Drop, so I kind of lived on the edge very hard there, somewhat for no reason. And now I think that this guy's going to be going for Solar Beam because Overheat is 90 accuracy, and it sees guaranteed kill with Solar Beam. So it does click Solar Beam. Fortunately, Venusaur comes in, tanks that, barely takes any damage. And now it's kind of just weird Sun stalling. I'm trying to get its special attack down enough that I can pivot in my carries. It ends up going Will-O-Wisp here, which unfortunate, but that's fine. I'll switch Lycanroc in again, I believe, to tank an Overheat here. I'm considering putting someone else in, but I think Lycanroc's the best option. And the really unfortunate thing here is that Lycanroc dodges Overheat, which means that I do not have the double special attack drop, so I'm kind of risking my Venusaur here. Fortunately, Venusaur is a brick wall, so it just lives. We're able to get a bit of damage down, and now my Feraligator can come in, tank an Overheat. A very low damage Overheat, and just kill with Waterfall. Fortunately, we dodged Will-O-Wisp. In retrospect, I should have Surfed to play around the potential drop in attack that Burn gives you. Now it's just slowly whittling down this Torkoal. I test to see if Waterfall does more or less damage than Surf. It does a fair amount less. And fortunately here, so I get attracted. Unfortunately, my Feraligator is male, but I don't think this guy can damage me too much, especially with Citrus. It ends up doing, honestly, a lot of damage, but I break through track with Surf, and I think the Sun fades here, which just means the Camerupt and the Macargo in the back are very easy to deal with, and that's the first 7 gyms done. Now the only gym that I have left is Brawly 8, and I have an Espeon, I have Psychic, I have the Shadow Ball TM. Honestly, this is a very, very cut and dry fight for me. I click Calm Mind, and then I just sweep. So level up everybody that I need. Again, I forget to get Citrus Berries, but for this fight, it's fine. Honestly, the only berry that you need for this is a Cherry Berry for the Espeon in case it gets paralyzed by Thunder Punch. Which I don't end up doing here, which is a bit short-sighted, but we'll see an even more short-sighted move in a little bit. So Espeon in first, we're going to Calm Mind, get hit by Thunder Punch. I even check my moveset before, which we'll see is kind of an issue when he puts in his third Pokemon here, so Calm Mind, this is very easy. Espeon is so good into Brawly's 5 through 8, it makes the fight into such a joke. We one-shot the Surfetched, which can be very difficult in some boxes. Now in comes the Medicham, and I don't have Shadow Ball. Even though I checked my moveset, I don't have Shadow Ball, because I only check for Calm Mind. So now this Psychic with Calm Mind is just a flip. Unfortunately, I win it, because otherwise I think High Jump Kick just kills me. And that makes this run a lot more chop. Fortunately, we get lucky, and we two-shot the rest of the Pokemon here, and that is all the gym phases done in under an hour, which for me is honestly pretty good. And now it's time to get everything prepared for the Elite Four. So I'm going Mega Venusaur this run. I could go Mega Feraligator, but I prefer Mega Venusaur. I think Venusaur is my strongest Pokemon. I am remembering to get Citrus Berries now. Grabbed a few TMs. And then I'm going to run to the Move Tutor after getting all my Pokemon up to see if there are any important move tutor moves that I want to get. Go ahead and use the mint the patch. And then let's get the Shadow Ball on my Espeon so I don't do that mistake again. And then this is where we kind of get to the point where it's like, well, I want to teach for Alligator Earthquake, but I want to teach it to it when I need to. And I don't think I really need to at this point. And then I'm considering getting Dragon Dance for Flygon. I end up teaching it over Rock Slide because I already have a Rock type. I shouldn't really need another Rock type move for coverage. And then checking Mudiena's moves, I think I'm going to end up giving it Ice Fang just in case I need it versus Drake. And I think generally having ice coverage is very good for E4. It's decent into like Togekiss, which you're not really going to use Mightyena for, but it's good coverage. And then now we get to enter the E4. And we do end up rolling Spencer first, which is kind of good for me. Or it's like okay. Because I have Venusaur, and Venusaur is very strong into this gym because I got the Sludge Bomb for it. There have been some runs where I forget the Sludge Bomb, or I go EQ instead, and then when you get Spencer, Venusaur is pretty much worthless. So, start with Flygon, 4x effective Bug Buzz, guaranteed one-shot. We know this Ludicolo is going to go Ice Beam, which means I could switch into something like Feraligatr, but then Feraligatr is going to get hit with a Giga Drain, or I'm going to have to switch something else and do a Stab Giga Drain. I'd rather just tank an Ice Beam and risk the freeze chance. And so we get Espeon in. Espeon's able to 1v1 after a Calm Mind. In comes Sceptile. I'm considering just thugging it out and either clicking Charm and hoping to one-shot with the Stab bonus. But I decided it's safer to go Venusaur. Venusaur comes in, use a few Sludge Bombs. I should have Mega'd this turn. It was very silly that I didn't, because after this Decidueye, there's only Breloom. So that could have been a bit of a mistake, leaving the Decidueye on that low HP. Now Breloom comes in. Fortunately, it doesn't crit or doesn't kill me from that low HP. And that's Spencer gone pretty simply as well. Then we get Phoebe. I only get Phoebe, I never get Lucy, unfortunately. So now I'm trying to think, okay, what do I have that will do best into this Dusclops? Because I really want to be able to two-shot the Dusclops so it doesn't get a bunch of burn or confusion stuff on me. So open for Alligator, get a Crunch off. It will end up two-shotting, fortunately. And then this, I think, is one of the funniest lines that the game's ever shown me, which is going Typhlosion into Feraligatr. So I, even through crit Shadow Ball, I still just one-shot it with Waterfall. I know Thunder Punch is coming here. So I could go Flygon to be immune to it, but then it'll just go Ice Punch, so I'm just going to go Mightyena. We'll get 2 Sucker Punches off here while it's going for attacking moves. I know it's going to heal on this next turn, so I go ahead and go for Ice Fang because it's the most reliable. And then 2 more Sucker Punches would kill, but I get frozen and I use 3 Sucker Punches under pressure. So I have no more Sucker Punch PP. So I'm just able to switch into Lickin' Rock, tank the Ice Punch. Fine. And now in comes Sableye, who I hit with a crit Stone Edge. That's free. And then this Banette, I'm somewhat concerned about after the burn because the Phantom Force does do a lot of damage. Throw Venusaur in, get the Giga Drain off, and now it's just a matter of waiting out that extra Phantom Force turn. And with that, we've got 2 E4 members down pretty easily. Don't think I've been risking too much. There was the crit from Typhlosion, but that didn't really impact me too much. And now the one issue here is that I did not get the Brick Break TM, so my Lickin' Rock can't one-shot the Sandslash. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what can I put in that has the best matchup into the Sandslash, because I don't want it to be on the board too long and to get too much damage in. So I'm like, okay, maybe Lickin' Rock, Stone Edge. In retrospect, I think I'd probably choose something different, because Stone Edge from Lickin' Rock does not two-shot, which kind of surprised me. But Sand Slash has so much defense that it shouldn't have surprised me that much. But we're going to be taking a fair amount of damage with Lickin' Rock. Get another Stone Edge. Unfortunately, with 4 Stone Edges, we don't get a single crit. But Sand Slash gets the Metal Claw, does a lot of damage to us. We will live one more, I think, but then I believe hail damage would kind of kill us. So we go for Alligator in. Honestly, not the worst line, because this means that hail runs out, but now Glalie going to be able to freeze dry me, and I'm kind of realizing that putting for Alligator in here was not the best decision. But we will still be able to two-shot this Glalie. Freeze dry does go off, but doesn't get the freeze or the crit, fortunately, so I live. And now with this, Walreign's going to be clicking freeze dry again because it sees a water type. So I'm thinking I'll put in Lickin' Rock, tank the freeze dry, and then bait out the Surf next. But my Lickin' Rock gets so low that it's just going to click random move here, and it decides on freeze dry, unfortunately, which does a ton of damage to Venusaur. But fortunately, I outspeed, so I'm able to Mega, get a Giga Drain off, and I'll just out-heal the Walreign's damage here. Take another freeze dry, but fortunately Venusaur Mega has Thick Fat. It's not doing too much damage. We get a crit, which I wish I had the crit the turn earlier. Fortunately, goes Ninetales, and I'm able to live an Ice Beam in one shot with Sludge Bomb. And now the last Pokemon out is going to be Frostlass, which is a bit concerning because Hail just got set up. So this thing's going to be clicking Blizzard after Blizzard. So I'm thinking I'll put in for Alligator to get a Blizzard out. I'm a bit worried about how much damage the Shadow Ball is going to do next, so I put Mightyena out to tank it. Live with 118, take a bit more chip, and now I'm wondering, okay, it's going to go Blizzard, so we can put Espeon out. And it does so much damage, but just barely doesn't trigger my berry. And now I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? How do I beat this thing? And I think I have to just go for the roll with Espeon. I don't get the kill. I'm not actually sure if it was a roll or not to one-shot Frostlass, but I just think, okay, I'm just going to try. I know Flygon outspeeds because I'm plus speed. This guy is so fast with plus speed. And we do end up taking out Glacia, but we lose Espeon, which is pretty rough. We do end up getting Drake, unfortunately. I have Venusaur and Feraligatr, both of whom can nearly solo Brandon. So getting Drake here is unfortunate, but this is why we go Ice Fang on Feraligatr. We'll click Ice Fang, it'll one-shot the Exeggutor, and now it'll bring in Kingdra. I don't really want to be keeping this guy in, so in comes Venusaur. We are going to be taking a lot of chip here, unfortunately, but we're able to get some Giga Drains off. We won't two-shot, which really surprised me. I was very surprised that Mega Venusaur would not two-shot a Kingdra with Giga Drains. And with how much damage that third one did, I'm wondering if I low-rolled twice or if that last one was a high roll, but we do end up taking it out eventually, and the last 3 Pokemon that Drake has, Venusaur's not the best into, but we do tank Salamence's Intimidate. We're able to switch in for Alligator. We'll tank a Dragon Claw, which does a decent amount, but with the Citrus Berry, we're going to live this Earthquake fine. Even if it crit, I think we would have been fine there. Would have been on red, it would have been tricky, but we're fine. And now we know that Dragalge is going to click Thunderbolt here, so in comes Flygon, get an Earthquake off, and the Dragalge gets one shot. So we're through all the E4 members, only losing Espeon, which should be fair. Espeon is a pretty big loss, because I think double Psychic from Espeon kills Roserade. And it's just a good Pokemon to have. You're 90 base speed, I have Charm, Psychic, Shadow Ball, all this coverage. So I'm trying to figure out here, okay, what Pokemon can I lead into Roserade that will two-shot it? And I'm kind of stuck between, do I go Flygon, do I go Feraligatr? And I think Flygon will two-shot with Earthquake, because Stab Earthquake does so much damage. So in this comes, we click Earthquake, Fortunately, it does well over half, so even with Leech Seed heal, I'll still two-shot. Perfect. And then after this, it's going to be Azumarill Play Rough, so wonderful. Again, we can just go Venusaur. We don't take that much damage, and we're just going to be able to start Giga Draining our way through this Azumarill. I'm contemplating here whether or not I want to Growth, if I want to Mega, and I decide on not Growthing because I don't think with Growth it kills. Actually, with Growth it probably does one-shot with how much damage that's doing, but I don't want to risk it. And now in comes Gallade on Venusaur, so I know because it sees I'm a Poison type, it's going to go for its Psychic type move, so I put a Mightyena, get an Intim off before it Megas. Then Venusaur comes back in, tanks a close combat, because I think it's my only Pokemon that resists. Maybe, I'm not sure if Dragon does, I'll have to check that after. But we tank 2 close combats, we get the double defense and special defense drop. Now in comes Mightyena again to resist the Psycho Cut, and the close combat drops me to 2 HP. And then we're able to get the one-shot in. So that's great. And now here I'm considering I can sack my Mightyena here if it's faster and remove Magnezone Sturdy so the Flygon doesn't have to tank the Flash Cannon here. But I don't outspeed. So I'm like, okay, I'll switch this in. In retrospect, I could have just Sucker Punched. But I was mostly considering, okay, the main worry that I have left is Garchomp. And I kind of want the Break Glass in case of emergency play of switching in my Intimon into Garchomp so that it's a bit less strong. So now with this Flygon, I'm thinking probably keeping this guy in. My Flygon's not going to be used for anything else. So we can just get a decent chunk down on Garchomp. And now in comes Ice Fang for Alligator to clean everything up. And now I think there's only one Pokemon left, and it's going to be the Talonflame, who will just get nuked by Feraligatr here. So live the Brave Bird pretty easily. Waterfall comes in, and bang, we beat Wally. Get the champ. Venusaur is my MVP per usual, and we get the sub 130.